Okay. Anyways, I'm just gonna talk about a little bit about when you have who you are. Is it where you were born and who your blood is, or it's where you grew up? And I'm really thinking it's a little bit of both. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my background and why I say this. My dad's American, Italian American, and then my mom's Scottish. British Scottish, like not born in Scotland. Although if you see her, she probably doesn't have a Scottish accent. And that brings the question if you're really who you are according to your accent, but I've seen people who are Australian don't have Australian accents, so I don't know. And basically it's when I was around 6 years old, my parents decided to go pioneering for the Baha'i faith, which means that they went to a country that needed it to work on different projects for the Baha'i faith, children's classes, virtues, different things promoting unity and like basically a better world. And my dad got a job and he's an English teacher and a director for an English place, and they decided to go to El Salvador. And this was during the Civil War, so it was kind of crazy. In the beginning, I didn't really know any Spanish, but obviously 5 years old, you learn it really fast. And I really didn't expect it, but I ended up living there for, well, up until now in college, off and on, I'd say about 16, 17 years, you know, or more. I lose count. And unbeknownst to me, that's who I became, is someone from El Salvador. So when people ask me, where are you from, I say Salvador, because that's where I grew up. Now, sometimes I'll say I'm from the States, or sometimes I'll say, oh, I'm British. But I get a lot of grief, and not really from people from El Salvador, because when I'm home, people are like, why you say you're from United States? You have to say that you're from El Salvador, and you're denying yourself. And then when I go to the States, they think, oh, well, you're not really Salvadoran. And you know, I get these kids that are Latino, and they're like, you ain't Spanish? Shoot, just because I'm like, I'm sorry I can speak Spanish, I'm sorry I live there. Like, I get so much grief from people, and it's like, you know what, it's mostly people, to be honest, that don't know Spanish, have never been to their country, don't even know anything about it, but for some reason they feel upset because I know stuff about it. And you know what, I'm sorry, that's where I've lived. I've been through a war, I've been through earthquakes, you know, like, I don't know, like, if people tell me, oh, you know, Italian culture and everything, I wouldn't be able to tell you. And maybe, like, in my blood and genetically speaking, I may be Italian, but you know what? That's not what I grew up with. And if I had a family that, you know, instilled all those values, then I think it would be a different thing. You know, it's a really interesting subject, but there's some studies, sociological studies, that talk a lot about the people that tend to be the most racist in the United States are the ones that basically are Italians or Irish, or most vocally racist. And that's not to say that everyone is racist. It's just to say that they're the loudest about it and everything. And the reason why they say this is that because in the past, you know, 50 years ago, they were the ones discriminated upon. So now they feel like it's sort of like a projection. So they're the ones now, with all this stuff about illegals going home and everything, they're the ones that feel like if they don't, they're now integrating into the part of society, and they're in politics and everything else, and so they're sort of afraid of being part of the non-white classification. I'm really of a belief that there's really no such thing as black and white, because people are so mixed anyways that there's no such thing as a pure race, and there shouldn't be. And I grew up as a Baha'i, learning that all races are, you know, different and beautiful, and they're all the same because they're all created by God. And you know, if you saw my brother, you'd be like, oh, you know, is he really your brother because he's brown skinned? And if you saw my dad, I don't look like my dad, but that doesn't mean that they're not part of my family. And I have, you know, friends from all sorts of types and cultures, and they're who they are. They're people. And you know, living in different places, that makes me realize this, that you shouldn't be defined by your color of skin or what you look like, but who you are as a person. And that's all I wanted to say.